In 1977, Nintendo released its first video game console, the Color TV Game 6. The console was not successful in Japan, but it had two hit games in North America: Donkey Kong and Space Invaders. Nintendo's next video game console was called the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. It had graphics that looked similar to those of arcade machines, but could not produce sound on its own. It was only released in Japan at first because Nintendo wanted to focus on their card business. In other countries, to avoid competition with Sega's new game machine called the Master System. Nintendo was founded on September 23, 1889 by Fusajiro Yamauchi. The company originally produced handmade Hanafuda playing cards. In the early 20th century, Nintendo started to experiment with making toys and games. The Nintendo Game Boy is a handheld gaming console released by Nintendo in 1989. It was the first handheld gaming device to use interchangeable cartridges and, as the name suggests, it was designed to play games. The Game Boy was a huge success, and it became one of the most iconic pieces of technology from the 1990s. The games were usually in black and white, but there are some exceptions like Tetris, which was one of the most popular games on this console. Some of the most popular games are Tetris, Super Mario Land, Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, Castlevania, The Adventure, Donkey Kong Land, Kirby's Dream Land. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or SNES, is one of the most iconic video game systems ever created. It was released in America on August 23, 1991. The SNES was first released in Japan on November 21, 1990, and then in the United States on August 23, 1991. The system sold more than 49 million units worldwide and is still the best-selling 16-bit console to date. The console entertainment system was an 8-bit home video game console that played games that were not compatible with Nintendo's previous console, the NES. The SNES had a controller with a directional pad and 4 face buttons, A, B, X and Y. Super Nintendo has been a popular gaming console for decades. In the 1990s, it was the most popular gaming console in the world. It had a great library of games with lots of variety. Some of the most popular games include Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart, and Donkey Kong Country. The Nintendo 64 was released in North America in 1996. It was Nintendo's fourth home console, the successor to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and the predecessor of the GameCube. Nintendo 64 started as a cartridge-based system with a design similar to its predecessors, but it introduced some new features like three-dimensional graphics, better graphics and sound, and an analog stick. The Nintendo GameCube was released in Japan on September 14, 2001. It was later released in North America on November 18, 2001, and then in Europe on May 3, 2002. The Nintendo GameCube was the successor to the Nintendo 64 and is a sixth-generation console that competed with Sony's PlayStation 2 and Microsoft's Xbox. Nintendo Wii was released in 2006 and it was a huge success. The console had a lot of new features that made it more attractive to gamers, as well as more accessible to people who were not familiar with video games. The controller for the Nintendo Wii is wireless, which means that you don't have to be tethered to the console while playing. The graphics are also better than on previous models, and there are many more games available for this console. Nintendo had been considering entering the market for some time, but it was not until 2004 that they were able to confirm hardware specifications and begin development. The company was reluctant to enter the market so late in the cycle, but felt it could produce a system with better graphics than its competitors. The games for the Wii are divided into two categories: retail games sold on Nintendo-produced optical discs, and downloadable games from digital distribution services such as Nintendo's Virtual Console, which are stored on an SD card or a USB flash drive. Nintendo's Wii U is a video game console that was released in November 2012. It has a lot of new features, including improved graphics and new games. The console's release was highly anticipated by many gamers, but it faced criticism for its high price tag and lack of quality games available at launch. Nintendo Switch is the seventh major home console by Nintendo and the first console in the company's history to support handheld mode. The console sold more than 10 million units in less than a year, making it the fastest-selling home console of all time in North America and Europe. The success of Nintendo Switch was not just because of its innovative design but also due to its games lineup. The first game made exclusively for this platform was The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, which received rave reviews from critics and fans alike. If you liked the video, give it a thumb up, leave a comment, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks and see you soon.
There was once a day that I would pray for you. I'd go and misbehave just so you'd notice too. Sneaking looks up and down from across the room. And damn, what a hell of a view.